might be just out of the screen.
Oh, she's fine.
Can you see her? Okay, good.
Just perfect. Well, unless
Okay,
there's someone beyond her. But
No. It was her I'm talking to. What's your name again?
her.
Nuria.
Nuria. Okay. Yeah, Nuria. I can see 85% of Nuria. Which I think is plenty.
Pablo is next to Nuria or behind Nuria?
Yeah, I can see Pablo as well. No problem.
You're fine there.
Yeah, Nuria. Okay, here. All this stuff.
Okay. Hello, Jim. How are you doing?
Hey, Ignacio.
How are you?
I didn't know what Ignacio it was, but how have you been?
Yeah, fine. Very good.
All right.
Yes. Miss the meditations, and today I have some spare time, so I'm joining again.
Oh,
Even
good.
though I didn't stop my practice, I used to continue practicing meditation regularly.
So you practice at home every day.
Yeah, sure.
That's the most important. Although the Buddha did say that the Sangha is the most important, he also said practice is the most important. So
Yeah, well, today we do together.
you do both. Yeah. Very good.
Very good. Arranging my room to see. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you just sit right on the rug, huh? It's not too hard?
No, it's okay. I hope so.
Jim, the Four Noble Truths on the whiteboard flip chart?
Actually, I mean, it's okay, but yeah, I'm going to talk about something different today.
Okay.
Welcome, Damien and Robert.
Let me check. Second. How do I change the position? Yes. Well,
Yeah, so welcome, everybody, those of you in Saladana and online. My name is Jim, for those who don't know me, and I'm still in California in the United States, it's hard to say I'm taking care of my mother, but I'm being with my mother, visiting her in the hospital, but it looks like this week she will come home for hospice, and we'll see how that goes. But right now I'm in her house, and I picked a new spot so I could sit on the floor. I kind of like this position. I wanted to have the view of the desert for you guys, but then when I did that, I was just a shadow. So I figured I couldn't do both. Before we start our meditation, maybe we can go around the room, just say our names out loud, starting in Saladana, starting with Pablo. That's Pablo, okay.
Pablo, okay, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and say your name, even though I've said it. It's good to hear your voice.
Say, dilo. Pablo, okay.
Very good, thank you, Pablo.
Nuria,
Yeah, welcome.
Alicia, Anto.
Oh yay, Anto, thank you.
Yes, welcome, Antonella. Then there's
Anto
Juan.
is helping us with the Facebook page. Thank you very much, Anto.
Community manager, as she said.
Okay.
Gina?
Gina, oh, hello, Gina. Welcome back.
Rohit?
Rohit, the first rays of the sun.
In the back we have Juan. I don't know if you saw him.
I saw his
Yeah.
bow, but I didn't hear his voice. Okay, on line, if we can try to do it in alphabetical order, first names.
That would be me, Damien.
Hello, Damien.
Ignacio, nice to meet you.
Ignacio, hello. Probably Gore was next, but that's okay.
That's Robert here.
Hello, Robert.
That's okay.
Oh, we had somebody who would have been first. Alexa. Let's see if she's connected. We're just saying hello, Alexa. If you want to unmute and say hello to the room.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, thank you. Okay, very good. So before we start to practice, the theme that I thought we would talk about today is death and dying. But I want to add something to it. It's death and dying and love. And when we get to the talk, you'll understand why I want to add that. Meanwhile, for the practice, this is teaching by Bhikkhu Analayo, who is a scholar, monk, speaks many languages, including Spanish and English. He's native German, and he's really changed in many ways the perspective of many American or Western teachers around mindfulness, the Satipatthana. And he's written several books about it. And in the first foundation of mindfulness, of which there are 4, it's contemplation of the body. And one of the contemplations of the body is contemplating the body dead, the corpse, right? And he's really made a name for himself in focusing on this contemplation of death, contemplation of the corpse. And one of his practices, and I'm speaking from memory, but I hope I get it right. It doesn't really matter how you do it, but is when you breathe in, remembering. Okay, sati, the word sati really means to remember. Remembering or recalling or reminding yourself, this could be your last breath. That could be the last one. And then when you exhale, let go. So breathing in, remembering this could be my last breath. Exhaling, letting go, relaxing. And it can sound a little, kind of, what's the word I want? It's not coming to me, but a little kind of gloomy, right? A little gloomy. But it's actually a very nice tool to keep us connected to the breath. And reminding ourselves that this present moment, might be our last moment. So that's the only morbid. Thank you, Damien. That was the word I wanted. Thank you, morbid. So we'll do kind of normal in the sense of what we normally do, 20 minutes or so of samatha, stabilizing, calming practice. And then the final 10 minutes will be more of a Vipassana style, looking at the impermanence of all things. And I'll give a little more instructions when we get to that point. And then the tool that you can use with the breath, breathing in. This could be my last breath. Breathing out, relax, let go. Any questions? Okay. Yeah, you guys are all muted. Okay, so let me set my timer. So we're going to practice for about 30, 31 minutes. Set my timer. There we go. Okay, so finding a comfortable posture. One that is dignified, you might say, or noble, or reminds you that you're meditating. Feels and has the shape of a meditative posture. Where your back is straight, your shoulders over your hips so that your body is balanced. Maybe your head tilted, inclining ever so slightly forward to open up the back of the neck, and also to have a gesture of humility, humbleness, respect. So now with your attention, with your awareness, direct it towards what is around you. Sounds, for instance, hearing, the sound of my voice. Maybe there's sounds inside whatever room you're in, or from outside on the street. Just hearing, and we're not making up stories about the sounds. We're not even labeling them. We're just being aware of sounds. And if there are no sounds, or when there are no sounds, we're just aware of the silence. Now I invite you to go into the body with your attention. Direct your attention to the body, allowing the sounds and whatever else you noticed on the outside to just drift to the background. So feeling the body and inhabiting the body with awareness. Noticing any sensations in the body. Currents of energy, tickling, discomfort. Noticing the points of contact The body touches the chair, the cushion, the floor. And at any time when your mind drifts into thinking, once we notice that, we just acknowledge that there were thoughts. We're happy to be present once again. Then we come back to whatever our object is right now, the body. So now see if you can feel, experience your whole body at once. Literally the posture, feeling the posture. Keeping your body very still, try not to move. See if you can hold your body still and be aware that you are holding your body still. Relaxing in place, relaxing into the posture, relaxing the mind, relaxing the body. Now this can be an object for your attention, an anchor that you can return to again and again when you notice your mind has drifted away. The posture, the still, quiet posture. Or you can use the breath. So let's find the breath, the sensations of breathing, the movement of the body at the belly, maybe at the chest, the sensations at the nostrils. So start off with the whole journey, the whole path of the breath, the posture breathing, the body breathing. Just feel, how is that? So this whole body breathing can also serve as an anchor, a place to return to when you notice your thinking. Or lastly, and let's everybody try it, now let's focus on the breath at the nostrils. So narrowing the focus to any sensations at the nostrils caused by the breath. So observing the breath at the nostrils, observing the sensations caused by the breath. And now I encourage you to choose an anchor that you really can enjoy, that works for you today in this present moment. If you're sleepy, maybe at the nostrils. If you're excited or anxious, maybe the whole body posture. You can also choose the breath at the belly, very relaxing and calming. And if you're working with the breath, using the breath, again, you could try the tool of, on an inhale, reminding yourself, this could be my last breath. And on the exhale, relax, letting go. I'll be quiet for a while and we can practice together. So maybe the mind is a little more stable, centered, calm. And maybe you'd like to try some Vipassana meditation, insight meditation. Which one form of practice is to allow, permit whatever calls your mind's attention to be your anchor, to be the anchor. So maybe the breath or the body calls the most, and the mind stays with that. Or maybe sounds, or even thoughts. Or maybe there's a particular sensation that's calling the attention, maybe pain or tension in the body, discomfort, or lightness, excitement, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. Then we just let that be the anchor. We put our attention on that until it passes away, until the mind becomes disinterested. And then we go to the next thing. And then in the background, just kind of keeping in mind how impermanent all these phenomena seem to be, how they just kind of come and stay a while and go. How nothing seems fixed or permanent, everlasting. So, to bring our formal practice to a close, let's first come back to the body, re-inhabiting the posture with awareness. Again, feeling any sensations, probably new sensations in the body, but re-grounding the attention into the physical form. And then if you're willing, bringing your attention to your heart space for a little closing gratitude practice. So feeling your heart space, your chest, and then thanking yourself mentally for your practice, for the goodness of your practice, for taking time out of your day on this Sunday to join others and connect with yourself in this way, to take care of yourself in this way. And then with this gratitude, mentally thanking the others for their practice, the goodness of their practice, for supporting our practice. And then taking this energy of gratitude, of goodwill, and sending it out in all directions. Just imagining we can just radiate it out, touching all of life, thanking life for this collaboration that has made it possible for us to be here. And when you hear the sound of the bell, just noticing what arises. Any thoughts, any sensations, any feelings. Thank you all very much. Feel free to move your body if you need to. I think I'm going to do that actually. It's funny, I'm sitting, on the floor, and then the patio of this house is just right there. And during the meditation, a little bunny rabbit came right up to the glass door. It's quite amazing. This is desert. I mean, this area is the definition of desert, which means I think it gets, I know in inches, it's like 8 inches. I have no idea how many liters, or it would be less than a liter, much less than a liter of water, rain that is, but it's very little rain. But yet there's so much life here. It's amazing just the number of creatures that live in the desert. Rabbits and roadrunner birds and little, what are those things called? They're another little furry animal. It'll come to me what they're called. And snakes. And I think it's because it's the end of spring or the middle of spring, I guess, but it's warming up. snakes now are starting to come out of their homes, and there's a bike ride I do going up this steep hill, and there were at least 3 dead snakes. I was so sad. They were run over by cars in a hurry to get to it's a tram that you take to the top of this mountain. San Jacinto is the name of the mountain, and so sometimes people are in such a hurry, I guess they run over these snakes. 2 of them were rattlesnakes. I was thinking that they should put a sign up, like you'll see a deer or something to indicate that's a crossing, or maybe cows or whatever. I think they should have snake crossing and tell people to slow down. But quite interesting, the desert. And so, yeah, the snakes, the dead snakes. Last week, to be quite transparent, I thought today my mother would be gone, that she would have left her body already by today. And so I just thought, okay, I'll talk about death and dying, and I'll just be very transparent about how it's been for me to observe it. But she, after being 3 days in a metabolic coma caused by her kidney failure, she woke up, and possibly the reason, I mean, I don't know, but what happened is my 2 daughters came, one from New York, one from San Francisco. My ex-wife came from San Francisco to say their goodbyes. And the first night, my older daughter was there with my mother in the hospital with me. And then, my mother kind of woke up a little bit from this coma state and saw my daughter, and I guess kind of recognized her or something. But then suddenly she said, "I love you. I love you." And then she went on this roll where she said, "I love you," like 20 times. Didn't say her name, so we're not sure whether she recognized her, but she kept saying, "I love you." And my mother is not one to say that much, you know. And then she kind of drifted off where it was, "I love her," and then "she loves her," and then she went back under again. And then my other daughter and my ex-wife arrived from the airport, and again she was under. But then the next day, my ex-wife was talking to her, and suddenly she kind of woke up again. She recognized my ex-wife and said, "Shirley." And since then, she's almost been a chatterbox. She's been like talking, and sometimes it's nonsense, but a lot of times it's pretty accurate. I'd say she's 60% kind of got her mental faculties back. And really, I mean, I've never experienced what some people might call like a miracle, but this felt as close to a miracle as I've experienced. I mean, we thought she was a goner for sure. And the doctors did too, they're counseling us and the whole thing. And then boom, she wasn't ready, not ready to go. So anyways, this week she's going to come home and be in hospice, and hopefully, we'll see. And so the theme or the subject of death and dying is very integrated into Buddhist teachings. And it has a lot to do with self and no self. One of the 3 characteristics, along with impermanence, which we practiced a little bit during the meditation, anicca, that sense that nothing is stable or permanent, apart from nibbana. And the second of these three characteristics is dukkha, or that nothing is satisfying forever. Nothing's perfect. And then this third one, this anatta, is that nothing has a self in the sense that we think of our sense of self. You know, things are empty, they're void of self, of a long, everlasting, like soul, like in Christianity and Judaism, I believe. I shouldn't talk about Judaism, I don't know, but Christianity, we have this sense of a soul, like an entity that will continue on, right? It's going to go to heaven or I guess hell. And as I understand it, in the Hindu tradition, of which the Buddha was a Hindu, they had this sense of this Atman, or this soul that is going to continue maybe from life to life, right? But in Buddhism, that was one of the real differences where his teachings departed from the teachings of the time, was that no, there isn't a continuation in that way of an entity, of a self, of an Atman, of a soul. That in fact, there's not even a birth, right? There's no birth and there's no death. All there is a coming together of causes and conditions that create this sense of awareness that we have for a lifetime, and then causes and conditions come together and the awareness ends. I wouldn't say it's as morbid, you know, as some things, but some people it can be, you know, kind of disappointing, right? It's a little bit of a drag. Really? There's like nothing? This is it, you know? I personally, I'm not sure that I care that much. But I do find, and I'm going to offer this just because I think it's quite beautiful. I do find the Hindu, especially the Advaita, non-dualist Vedanta teachings, that there is a pure consciousness, an infinite consciousness that is our true nature. This is what we really are, is this pure consciousness. And that what happens in our lifetime is that there's this finite mind that comes together for a period where the pure consciousness experiences life, and that at the end of our life, that finite consciousness just disperses back into the pure consciousness. And, you know, as I understand it, and I especially like this one teacher, Rupert Spira, who's out of England. He's just such a wonderful teacher, has a beautiful way about him. You know, this also happens whenever we go into deep sleep. Like we fall asleep, you know, sometimes we dream, sometimes it's not so deep, but then usually for some period, we go into a deep sleep where any sense of self is gone, right? It's just, and in a way, the way he would describe it is life is somewhat like that, or maybe I should say death. Death is sort of like that, where there's awareness, finite awareness. You know, we're aware of our bodies and we're aware of what's around us and so forth. And that goes on for a while. And then at some point it extinguishes, it ends. But it isn't like that's the end of the story, because what happens is it just precipitates back or reintegrates back into the pure consciousness that's infinite. And then this comes and goes. And so maybe this concept of reincarnation or rebirth is because there are this continuation of rebirths within this infinite pure consciousness. And there's one like metaphoric story of like whirlpools of water in a stream of water, an arroyo, and then there'd be like a whirlpool. The water spinning around like this. That's kind of like our life. While it's around, is we're this spinning little bit of water, and then maybe it stops for other causes and conditions, and then it might pop up over there in another part of the stream. It's all just water, right? That's the pure consciousness, and the whirlpool re-entered back into just being water, and then reformed over there, and it's the same thing. So that's kind of maybe an analogy of what they're talking about, this movement from pure consciousness to finite awareness to pure consciousness to finite awareness. And I think maybe, who knows, but I sort of make up that these points of view, these beliefs, are intended to help relieve us of suffering. Like, as you might have remembered when we were talking about the second noble truth, the cause of suffering, which is tanha, which is craving, two of the cravings involve this: craving for becoming. Remember that? Craving for becoming, or you could say craving for life, craving for existence, craving for continued existence, right? This can be a cause of suffering, where we don't want to die. We want to live forever, or we want to be reborn. Craving for becoming. And then the third of these types of craving was the craving for non-existence, where life just is so awful, or our experience is so awful that we want it to end. And there are those who suffer from this as well. And both of them reinforce a sense of self. I want to live forever. Me, this person that I am. Or I want to die. And in Buddhism, this idea of self is a fabrication. It is a collection of causes and conditions that come together, like our ego, our stories, our beliefs, all this stuff come together to create a sense of self. I have a sense of self, but really there is no permanent entity in Buddhism, no permanent self that continues. It's just a sense, it's just a perspective. It's just a seeing that we confuse, and probably one teacher, psychologist put it, it's probably for survival reasons. If we didn't have a sense of self, maybe then we wouldn't want to procreate, we wouldn't want to pass on our genes, and the human race would expire. We would become extinct like the dinosaurs, right? So we have this, and it gives us some motivation to continue, but it doesn't bring us happiness. It mostly brings us suffering. And so the idea is to just see it for what it is. And this is Vipassana. Vipassana is the seeing clearly of the three characteristics of all things, that they're impermanent, that they're unsatisfying, and that they're impersonal. Because the idea is, once we can see clearly these three characteristics, we will let go. We will stop clinging, and then we'll be freed from our suffering. And so this death just plays right into it. And, I'll end with this, and then we could do a little walking meditation. Watching my mother, I go visit her every day. Sometimes I spend 2-3 hours there at the hospital. And so I'm seeing, kind of death right up front. And then I could almost make this into a joke, but I'm not gonna. So her little dog, 17-and-a-half-year-old dog, was like just, it seemed like was just hanging in there for her to, for her owner, her mother, to come home, right? Could barely move, poor thing. And so we decided to put her down, right? So I did experience actually some death since I saw you last week. I experienced, or observing anyways. I didn't actually experience any death, thank gosh. I'm still here. But I observed the death of her dog. We brought her to the vet, and me and my brother and my daughter were there, and we watched the dog go. And so kind of seeing one in more slow motion, and then the other one was a little more speeded up, you really see, not so much in the dog. The dog did it perfectly. The dog died perfectly, right? It just sat there and waited until it got an injection of a sedative. It then made it sleepy. And then they put in, in a catheter where they put in the cocktail of stuff. And in a few seconds, she was gone. You couldn't even see the transition. It was very peaceful. And I assume she didn't suffer. She didn't cry. She didn't move, nothing. But now with my mom, of course, it's slow motion, right? It's going very slowly, and her kidney numbers are just slowly going in the wrong direction. She either end up on dialysis, but she's so frail that could, would not be fun. So anyway, so I watch her go through these forms of craving, right? And the third noble truth, the cessation, the letting go. I see it all happening kind of in slow motion. And as you know, those of you who have been coming, I've used my mother as an example many times of how not to be if you want to be happy, right? She pretty much thinks external stuff is the solution. Anyways, I've seen her crave and I've seen her let go. And I've seen her let go where she knows, okay, I'm dying, right? And I'd like for it to be as comfortable as possible, this process, but and the end is coming. And it has astounded me because I would not have expected her to reach this so quickly. And as a result, she has a better sense of humor. It's like my mom has never had a sense of humor, especially if it has to do with her. Oh my gosh, she's very sensitive, right? But I like sometimes, she can't use her hands. She has neuropathy. And so like she tried to drink some soup and she just poured it all over the front of her, right? I couldn't help but laugh. Oh, bunny time. Can you guys see the bunny? Oh, what a trip. So they're just sleeping right there in the corner. Anyways, yeah, just she has been more pleasant to be with in her dying days than at any point in my life. It's like kind of crazy. So I guess I will end with that dying doesn't have to be all bad, right? If we take it as just a reintegration back into our true nature, and this is not Buddhism, but close enough, or just back into emptiness, right? It's not necessarily something we need to fear, right? Or indefinitely not something that we want to push away, because that'll just make it worse. Okay, that's my little share. Why don't we do a 5-minute meditation? Then afterwards, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or comments or experiences that you want to share, that would be awesome. But meanwhile, why don't we do like a 6-minute walking meditation? And is there anybody new to walking meditation? And anybody need some guidance. It looks like everybody's getting ready. Just a reminder, using our feet or the touching of our feet on the ground is our anchor. That will be our anchor. I'm going to walk as well. So we've got a few more minutes. I'd love to hear from one of you or all of you, some of you. Any thoughts, questions, reflections you might have on this topic, or anything related to practice, to meditation, Buddhism. Which, by the way, I did notice, just to talk, a couple of you don't have your masks and some do, but it is true that, yeah, we don't need to wear our masks indoors at Saladana anymore. It's optional. You're free. So good to see you, Carlos. Oh, there you are. Okay. Yeah, so does anybody have an urge to share or like to add something, or?
Yeah, please speak here.
I was reading
Okay.
this book. It's called Awakening by Anthony DeMello.
Uh-huh.
You hear him? Yeah, okay.
And I think
Yeah,
I
I've
was
heard,
reading,
I think,
I was reading the chapter regarding, I don't know, it's about, I think it's exactly the same thing we talked about like the last time, about, because we were trying to figure out, this sensation of self, and then it eventually came out to be something which is like just survival, and he was saying about the same thing. He says that to be like a me, like when that survival part comes up, he says that me, and when what we're actually looking for is an I, and when you look for an I, the I never comes up. It's always the me, and then I think that's like a very nice frame to look at things. At least if you name it a me, then you say, oh, this is the me who is worried. It is not the I who is worried at all. So I kind of found that very interesting. And I think then I was walking the other day, and then I was listening to this podcast. It's by this philosopher. His name is Spinoza, and he's like Einstein said that if I would have a religion, it would be Spinoza's religion. And now when you are talking about this, it makes me remind that a lot of the things he says about this infinite consciousness and then finite consciousness, he calls that like a true nature, that something which is indivisible and which can only be changed into a form but cannot be truly transformed. And I think it's a lot of it is like connected somehow. So I find it very interesting. Maybe when I go home, I'll probably read about if somebody has interpreted Buddhism from the point of view of Spinoza.
yes, I'm sure that there have been comparisons and interpretations. In fact, I think I've even run across them from time to time. Yeah, online, was everybody able to hear what was said? Yeah. Can you hear what I just said? Give me a sign that you heard it.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's at a minimum, it's a beautiful perspective. I think this idea of infinite pure consciousness, then localizing with us, the I, the me, not what Rupert Spira, and he's probably my favorite non-dualist teacher, he will say, he uses I. He likes that word, but he'll say, I am aware. That's our true nature. I am aware. Or you could simply say awareness, right? But that sense of I, or that sense of me, is always present. It's really always present, except maybe when you get into the deepest forms of absorption, jhana meditation, and then apparently that sense of self, that sense of I kind of falls away. And I have never experienced that deep of meditation, only read about it or heard about it. But the I might fall away in like the sixth, seventh, eighth levels of jhana, which I think the Buddha didn't even teach those. But awareness remains. Awareness is still present, but that's all, is just awareness. So I think a very good argument could be made. This is our true nature. And, in the Western scientific realm, there are these materialists who believe that consciousness arrives from material, from form. Form precedes consciousness. But I think they're starting to lose the debate, right? They're starting to lose the debate because more scientists are starting to come around to where the Indians have been for 2,500 or more years, thousands of years, going back to the Bhagavad Gita, that no, consciousness precedes form, not the other way around. It's one of those, they call them in science, they call them the hard question or the difficult question, right? What is consciousness? Yeah, thank you very much for your offering. Robert, I see you're unmuted. Would you like to say something?
I was just going to make some probably half-assed questions about death. Well, you were kind of talking about death, the life and death, and whether you come back or whether reincarnation or something carries on. Personally, I've always felt that life and death are kind of obviously this kind of the same thing in the sense that it's all part of a cycle. And I think you said that things come together at a certain point to create you, which is obviously true. And things, putting it simply, you grow vegetables in the garden. Some of them you eat, some of the material will go back into the ground and be nutrients for some new things to grow, which you'll eat, and those things help you grow, and then you might die and you might be buried. And it's all really very. I personally always felt that we're all the same, and it's very much just a kind of transient process, I suppose. And then the other thing I was going to say was that I've been with two people who I loved when they died. At the moment they died, and I very much felt that first of all, it was a great privilege to be with them, and I was really glad that I could be there. One was unexpected, one was not. Once they'd gone, I really very much felt that they had gone, and now it was the task to dispose of their body in whatever way they wanted. And they were gone, and we were left with some memories of them and photos. But my profound feeling was I was very glad to have had them in my life, but that was the end of them. And for me, it was just to be with them was just as profound as to be. I've been with at the birth of both my children as well, and the birth and death. Both very, very. I would say almost rewarding experiences, including the death. That's how I experienced it anyway.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. That's quite a statement. I've been present at my daughter's birth, and never actually at the side of a human being who's passed though. So thank you for that offering. Yeah, one thing about this no self, some teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh, for instance, is an example of one teacher. They'll use another word, and it's interdependence, interdependent, right? So that's like the kind of the opposite of a self, an individual island-like self, me, is interdependent, that we are all connected and dependent. And I really like that perspective. And, there's even, again, going back to science for a second, there's also a movement away from this Darwinian concept of survival of the fittest, right? So only the fittest, the strongest, the smartest of us survive, to it's a collaboration. Right? It's a collaboration. It's a working together of all of life. And that really is why we are here. not because we were able to, kick ass on the Neanderthals or whatever, but that we came together with other life forms to prosper and to propagate and to be here. And I think even scientifically, that might have more weight than this idea that I'm the self, the stronger, or that we humans, that we're this different being and that we have survived it because we're the most fit, the most strong, the most intelligent. So this interdependence, this collaboration, and even if it isn't exactly how nature is intended, it definitely, to me, could lead to a lot less suffering, right? Hopefully, if everybody someday were to adopt that particular point of view, we wouldn't have things like invasions of sovereign countries by dictators like Putin. That just wouldn't happen, because one would see, no, these people are part of me and I am part of them. And not only me people, but all life, all the whole earth. Yeah. Well, thank you, Robert. Okay, well, thank you all very much. Let's do, if you're willing, a little metta meditation to close out. And for those of you who might be unfamiliar with metta, that's a Pali word that means like goodwill or friendship, unconditional friendship, or there was another way it's called, like infinite friendship, you might say. And then what we do is we offer out phrases, but what you guys can say them mentally, and cultivate. It's a heart practice that we cultivate this way of being, wanting others and ourselves to be healthy, to be happy, to be safe. So I'll say a few lines, and then you could say them mentally to yourself. And I also like to put my hands right on my chest here, near the heart, so I can really feel it. So we'll start with me, right? We'll start with me, or I am aware. We'll start with ourselves. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I live with ease. And now let's do the people of Ukraine. Just imagining their suffering right now and how they also want to be happy. May they be happy. May they be well. May they be safe. May they live with ease. And our next group, you might say, is what's called the difficult person or the difficult being. So here in a short practice like this, we probably don't want to pick Putin or somebody really difficult, but somebody in your life, or maybe you have a little resentment, a little hurt, somebody maybe said or did something or didn't do something that you would have wanted. Bring them to mind. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And finally, all beings in all directions, without exceptions, all life really. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings live with ease. And finally, in the tradition of renunciation, of letting go, we offer up the fruit of our practice, the merit of our practice today, our Sangha, our Buddha nature, the teachings. Offer these up to the benefit of all beings. May all beings be happy and peaceful, healthy and strong, safe and protected. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from war and violence, discrimination, racism, and free from any sorts of diseases. And may all beings find their path towards the letting go sufficient to eliminate all suffering. May all beings be free. So, thank you all so very much for showing up. This really supports my practice, keeps me close to the Dharma, so I very much appreciate it. And yeah, thanks once again. And just a couple quick announcements. First is the, for some of you, maybe the somewhat boring topic of dana, which is a Pali Sanskrit word that means generosity or giving, dar. And it's how we operate Saladana, where the teachings, the classes, everything, the sessions are all offered freely, without hopefully any expectation and from our heart. And also you guys get to practice. And I know for some Spaniards especially, where, maybe leaving tips and stuff like that is a little more foreign, it's a practice then, it's a cultivation. This is really what it's called, a cultivation. And so you can help us in many ways by helping clean up. There's also different types of volunteer projects that some of you are already involved in, that you can help us continue with Saladana and to grow its presence really in Madrid and beyond. And then you can also leave us a financial donation, a donativo. You can either leave it in the box in the front, or you can use BISM or a transferencia directly to the account of the mothership, which is called Dhanasati, Asociación Nacional Dhanasati. And whatever feels right for you, is the right amount. If it feels good. In fact, we had a wonderful offering. So this is my second announcement is regarding the retreat that is coming up in May 23rd with Bhante Sanata Vihari, wonderful young Spanish speaking monk from America, just a couple hours away from where I am now. And there's still plenty of seats, so hopefully you'll sign up and you'll come. But we also, I guess somebody who knew him or anyways, another Spanish speaking individual who lives in Hawaii, an American state, offered to make a donation to us for one of the meals during the retreat. Such a beautiful gesture. And so many ways that we can, make donations and be of service and so forth. Generosity was usually the first thing the Buddha taught. Anyways, Carlos, do you have any announcements or anything?
Nothing to add, actually. I might not be here next Sunday, so we might need to find someone else to connect.
Okay, will you be able to find that person, or should I?
I'll look around.
Okay, thank you, Carlos.
Antonella is asking if I can teach her, so yeah, of course I can.
Oh. Fantastic. That's
I want to follow us on Facebook and on Instagram to make bigger the community of Saladana in the community, the web. Okay.
yes, please. I'm very ignorant as to how that works, so I will leave that up to you.
So yeah,
But
everyone
I did-
follow Saladana.
Yeah, I did. We do. There is a page now, Saladana. I don't know exactly how to even make a friend with it or whatever, but hopefully Anto can show us how to do it. But we do now have a Facebook page, and
We should put this in Meetup as a message to with a link,
Good idea.
so people can touch the link and follow us.
so we can just put that right on the meetup page or something. Just is that how that works? Or well, maybe we talk after or email or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm really sorry that I mean, I very much wish that I was in Spain right now, but I know I'm exactly where I need to be. So I will be here until I don't need to be. But anyways, I love you guys all. I'm so glad you came, and I hope to see you all next week. And good luck with whatever you're doing next week, Carlos. And thank you for your service.
Thank you,
I'll
Jim.
stay online until you guys all disappear. So
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Jim.
Best wishes, everyone.
So.